Are you ready to take control of your wealth and design the life you envision for yourself and your family? Welcome to Wealth of Insight with Austyn Whittenburg from Whittenburg Wealth Partners. Austyn guides you through the entire planning process to help you build a plan that seeks to protect your financial future. He empowers you with creative investment opportunities and planning ideas to help you understand and achieve your long-term goals. It's time to gain confidence in your financial future. Now, on to the show.
Welcome back to the Wealth of Insight podcast. I'm your host, Austyn Whittenburg, and today we're going to be talking about navigating your key retirement milestones. Now, I know many of you may think, hey, retirement is not till age 65 or whatever you are planning on in the future, but there are a lot of milestones that happen quite a bit sooner than that and some opportunities that you can take advantage of way before you actually get to your retirement age. So I wanted to run through those today, just so you have in your mind, hey, here are the things I need to be looking out for. Or maybe there's a friend or family or parents or somebody else who is hitting some of these milestones and you want to make sure they're taking full advantage of the opportunities that exist leading up to retirement so that the ultimate retirement, your ultimate retirement, you're able to design the perfect picture for yourself. So let's hop into it now. The first real milestone that comes into play starts at age 50. And now you can play catch up, with your IRA, 401k, other retirement savings that you've been doing. There are caps on how much you can contribute. But as soon as you hit age 50, they allow for what's called a catch-up contribution, or you can add additional funds once you've reached age 50. So for an IRA, you can add an additional $1,000 per year. So the current 2024 rules are you can make a $7,000 contribution. Anybody can make a $7,000 contribution, but with this catch-up contribution, you can actually add an extra $1,000 to that number. For the 401k, your current maximum contribution you can contribute is $23,000, but if you're over age 50, they allow for a $7,500 catch-up contribution, so you can get north of $30,000 into your 401k. And this is really designed, as we've talked many times on this podcast, time is your biggest friend when it comes to investing, and starting early is one of the best ways to accumulate wealth and not have to contribute as much of your own money because that time, that compound interest is working for you. But these age 50 contributions, these catch-up contributions, allow for extra money for those who maybe didn't start early enough to build up some of that extra savings, and just even for those who have been saving and have been diligent savers, just allows you to save more money and potentially reduce taxes more or other things along the way. So that is the the first milestone that kicks in at age 50, again, which is quite a bit before most people are going to reach retirement age, right? So the second rule then kicks in 5 years later at age 55. This is called the rule of 55. So for most people, if they need to access their retirement funds from their 401k, IRA, or other investments, if you access that before age 59 and a half, which teaser is going to be the next milestone, there are penalties and things that you pay. But with the rule of 55, there is this special rule that the IRS has laid out that if you leave or change jobs after the age of 55, you are able to take out money from that 401k without incurring the penalty, right? So you still got to pay the taxes and some of those other things, and there are still some stipulations that you want to make sure you follow. But in general, if you need to, in a year that you leave a job after age 55, you are able to take money out without paying the penalty. Now, of course, we hope that that's not something that you're going to need, but if you're changing jobs, there may be financial needs that where you need to access that money. So that's a nice option there for people in that situation. As I mentioned, the next milestone then kicks in at age 59 and a half. And this applies to all retirement accounts starting at age 59 and a half. You can now take money from those accounts without paying the 10% penalty. So prior to age 59 and a half, one of the few times you get to, there really is important milestones for your half birthday. So starting at that age 59 and a half, prior to, if you're taking money out of your 401k, you're going to be hit not only with the taxes, but also a penalty. And that applies to other retirement accounts as well. So it's an important thing to know that once you hit 59 and a half, you at least no longer have to pay the penalty there. So now, again, we're encouraging clients to not take money out unless you absolutely need to, because you still have to pay the taxes. You may not, it may not be the best financial choice to take the money out starting at age 59 and a half. But again, for those who are in a situation where they need to access that money, it's nice to know that that 10% penalty is now gone starting at age 59 and a half. Next milestone kicks in just a few years later at age 62. And starting at age 62, that is the earliest age that you can start taking your Social Security. So, all along the way through your working years, you've been paying into the Social Security system. You can log into ssa.gov and check out what your projected benefits may be in the future. Starting at age 62 is the earliest you can start to take those benefits. Now, keep in mind, again, you may not want to or need to start at age 62, and it may not be the smartest thing to do, but you are able to. Everybody will have what's called their full retirement age, which we'll discuss, here in a few minutes, but that's the age at which you can take 100% of your Social Security benefits with no penalties. If you do choose to start at age 62, you will be taking a reduced benefit from what you would get at your full retirement age. The math is a little complicated, but it basically works out to about, for every year that you start early, it's going to be roughly a 6% reduction. So if you start at 62 and your full retirement age is 67, that's 5 years with that 6% reduction. So a 30% reduction essentially in your benefit. So again, not going to be something you'll most likely do, but if you've retired early or there are other cash needs, 62 is going to be the time that you can start taking that benefit. The second part of that Social Security conversation is Medicare. Medicare, the milestone there is age 65 when you are eligible to sign up for Medicare and moving towards the Medicare for your health insurance. Again, that's something really complicated. It's going to depend on what sort of health needs you have, doctors that you see, et cetera. So you really want to make sure you work with a Medicare professional, someone who's well versed in the system and the coverages, to make sure that you get set up with the best plan. We have recorded a previous episode on Medicare, so you can go back and find that to answer some more specific questions with Medicare, because you'll definitely want to make sure you're working with a professional, as I mentioned, to make sure you're getting the right parts A, B, et cetera, that are going to really fit your financial situation the best. After age 65, we're now to your Social Security full retirement age that I just mentioned. And this, for most people, is now age 67. But if you were born before 1960, you may be as early as age 66 or sometime between 66 and 67. And this is the age at which you can take your 100% of your Social Security benefit without any reduced value and benefit, and no penalty if you want to continue to work and also take your Social Security. That's one of the things I guess I failed to mention about age 62 is if you start your Social Security early while you're still working, there's a calculation that they go through that may also reduce your benefits even more. So one of the other reasons why, even though you can start at 62, you may not want to, just because if you're still going to continue to work, your benefits are going to be reduced. That stops happening once you've reached your full retirement age. So as you're doing your financial planning and looking at cash flow into the future and in retirement, figuring out the right answer for Social Security, there really isn't a right answer, I guess I should say, but figuring out the right timing, can make a really significant impact, because that full retirement age, you get 100% of your benefits. If you choose to wait, you can delay your Social Security to our next milestone, which is age 70. And for each year you wait beyond age 67, you do get roughly an 8% increase, an inflation adjustment essentially, to your Social Security benefit. So depending on the situation, it could make sense even to delay your Social Security to age 70. And that's one of those things that we can really help with our clients, showing them the different outcomes at different ages and building that into their financial picture, because there are going to be some benefits. There's also some drawbacks to waiting to age 70, mostly in the form of, you could have had that money to spend earlier. So, again, depending on your financial situation, it may make sense to wait. That's something you should definitely be working with your financial advisor to review and discuss. The last retirement milestone here kicks in now. Just recently, this age has been pushed out to age 73. And starting at age 73 is when you now have to take what are called required minimum distributions, or RMDs. So we've been talking, you've been making your catch-up contributions, you've been saving in your 401k, IRA, all along the way. You've now reached age 73, and the IRS wants their taxes. You haven't paid taxes on that money all along the way, but the IRS wants their taxes. They've let you avoid them for as long as they are willing. So starting at age 73, you're now going to be required to take money out of those retirement accounts. And there's a mathematical formula that goes through essentially, in rough sort of round numbers. Starting at age 73, you will need to take roughly about 3.75% of your total IRA balance. And then that percentage actually increases each year. So at 74, it's a little bit higher, et cetera, all the way up. So that's another thing that you want to work with your financial advisor to make sure you're making those required minimum distributions. If you fail to make your distributions, there are penalties that get imposed. Could be anywhere from 10 to even up to 50%, depending on when that was missed and if you remedied that or not. So again, make sure you're working with your financial advisor to make sure you're getting your RMDs taken care of. And if there was a mistake, there was one that gets missed, there are some forms you can file with your CPA and with the IRS to say, oops, I failed to do this, but we got it taken care of, so that there can be a reduction in any potential penalties that may exist based on that missed required distribution. There are a few other things you can do to help offset the tax implications of the required minimum distribution. Now, you can certainly just take the money, pay the taxes, and spend that money. But for clients who are charitably inclined, you can do what's called a QCD, qualified charitable distribution. Those count towards your RMDs, but you don't have to pick up the income tax. So another thing to work with your advisors on, if that is something that fits your situation. Right? So as you can see, there's a number of milestones, many of which happen prior to your quote unquote retirement age, prior to when you retire, to help you strengthen your financial plan and get to be in a position where you can have the retirement that you've dreamed of. So I want to make sure you don't miss any of those milestones. And again, for the younger listeners, these may seem like they're a long way out in the future, but they creep up on you. But also feel free to share this episode with those in your life who are hitting some of these milestones, just to make sure they're taking full advantage of any of the opportunities that exist, and that they're making the best decision for them and for their financial plan. If you have any questions or you'd like to learn more, you can find us on our website at www.wittenbergwealth.com. You can also text me at 801-839-7056. Please share this episode with your friends and family, and remember to subscribe. Thanks.
Thank you for listening to the Wealth of Insight podcast. Click the subscribe button below to be notified when new episodes become available. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Stratos Wealth Partners, a registered investment advisor. Stratos Wealth Partners and Whittenburg Wealth Partners are separate entities from LPL Financial. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Whittenburg Wealth Partners. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service provider with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning.